Kevin McCarthy. How are you, sir?
I'm good, sir. How have you been?
Let me look. I'm doing great. Thank you. I wanted to bring you on. There's a lot going on here, and you have a wealth of knowledge that I want to tap here. First of all, Biden talks about this bipartisan bill. It was really bipartisan. One of the guys involved in writing it, McConnell, wound up voting against it. It would have done absolutely nothing but give him political cover. But when you were Speaker, you oversaw the negotiation with the Freedom Caucus and others, not only budget matters, but H.R. 2, which would have been the most aggressive protection of our border, I think, in modern American history, no?
You're 100% correct. And we spent a lot of time, and a lot of people worked on this. We were in committee. We had two different committees, Jim Jordan's Judiciary. We had Homeland. And there's differences, and people have a lot of different beliefs. But we spent a couple months in my office, members on all sides, small majority, and it is the most conservative bill you're ever going to see pass in the House for border security. And we need it more now than ever. Even when we had a 30-seat majority, we couldn't pass this bill. But people sat down and they legislated. And you know what's so exciting? I read something today where Fetterman said that he thinks that there is a place that maybe we could pass H.R. 2 in the Senate for Ukraine funding. I don't know where Fetterman went for work, but I want to send a lot of senators there. This guy is strong for Israel. He's changed since he came back. But literally, America's woken up. It doesn't matter what state you're in. Massachusetts has no Republican representative in Congress, and they have a state of emergency by their governor because of the southern border. Everybody sees it. And there was no greater contrast than seeing President Biden and President Trump today. It just fundamentally. I believe I've been with President Trump to the border more times than President Biden's ever been to the border in the last 50 years. He doesn't have to be introduced to people. But there's something interesting, Mark, that people need to know. When I sat to negotiate the Fiscal Responsibility Act and other items at the White House, the one thing I learned is you can't negotiate with President Biden. He reads a card, and when you disrupt him from the card, he can't talk about anything else. That's
frightening.
It's the card or nothing. It is. I'm like, I walked.
So did you grab his cards and hand him new cards so he would support your position?
He sat one time with the four leaders, and he starts to talk to us. It's right after we had won the majority, not sworn in, and he starts pontificating something January 7th. I said, nobody in here had anything to do with that. And he gets startled. He goes, oh. And he closed his book. Couldn't talk anymore. I mean, it's unbelievable.
But this H.R. 2, which was historic, and as you say, it took a lot of work. You got it through. It's a significant bill. I've gone through it. It's got to be an inch and a half thick. It's got all these protections, no outs, no phoniness like this other thing. And what happened? You passed it and went to the Senate. What did McConnell do? What did Schumer do? What happened to that?
Schumer has done nothing on it. Now, we've got Republican support in the Senate, but you got to have Schumer has the power. And the thing you've got to realize, this is a difference in the contrast in bills. You can write a really strong bill, but if you give the president flexibility that, he could override everything, nothing's going to happen. I'll give you a case in point. The Supreme Court had told President Biden that he can't just go out and forgive all these student loans. That is unconstitutional. And what's he doing now? He's trying to find a way around it, even when the court threw out what he had done. And now what they're doing, they got the vice president now wants to use taxpayers' money to pay college students to register to vote to try to say, oh, we forgave your loan too, here, vote for us.
Unbelievable. And he's doing that. Kevin, he's given the bureaucrats the biggest increase in 40 years. He's paying off the student loans. So they're now using the student worker subsidized federal program that you'll get credit if you register people. They're going right through the system. They're going after their base. They're going after their demographics. And they're doing it on our dollar, and nobody's stopping them.
Hard-working taxpayers' dollar. So you've got a person. I've got great friends, right? Person works on my car, works hard, makes a good living, but he's got to pay for somebody's college and went to law school. I don't see how that's right. It's their whole philosophy that you subsidize an electric car, a Tesla, where someone's making $200,000, but I'm making $50,000. You're going to take my hard-earned tax to give it to them? It's not right. And if you go back and you look at that H.R. 2, it does the exact things that need the border. Remain in Mexico, reforms asylum, right? Secures the border, stops the fentanyl that's killing our youth every single day, the number one killer of it. And this president says he can't do anything. Well, you know what he can do? He should call in the Senate to bring up H.R. 2. Put it on the floor and vote on it. Because you know what? If they vote it down, we could take it to every single place. And I promise you, places in New York will win.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I have that on my TV studio desk, that bill, which I printed out. And I'm going to talk about this on Sunday, doing exactly that. I'm going to wave it around and say, you've had this since May of last year, and you haven't done a damn thing with this thing. And now, let me ask you a couple more questions. You say you've met with Biden several times. Well, a few times, because he didn't want to meet that often. He's really not with it.
He tried to avoid me for a long time.
But he's really not with it, is he?
No. I've been to the Oval Office in four different presidents. And when you go, you've been there. You've worked there.
Yes.
It's hustling. It's bustling. Things are happening. In Biden's Oval Office, nothing's happening. It's quiet. There's nobody moving around. And when you go in to see him, the first thing he asks is if you want cookies, right? And then he talks from the cards of where he's going to go. You can't change the basis of where it is. There's a couple. I've had, even this week, I've had a foreign leader of another country call me about the capacity of this president. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, it affects our standing. I was meeting with President Trump a little while back. I said, what you need to do, ignore Nikki Haley. You have this. You're going to be the nominee. What you should do is every single day bring up an issue that Biden has to answer. Ask to have 5 debates, right? Have one just on the border. Have one on the economy. Have one on foreign policy. Just walk through it. And you know what? Have the debate at night so everybody in the country can watch. And you know what you have to do? Make them walk down down this aisle to the podium, you both together.
Now, that assumes Biden's going to agree to it. You know, Biden is
he never will.
He's a veal calf. He's never going to come out of the cage and do that.
He can't, because he can't debate at night. He can't walk to the stage. He can't stand up to President Trump's policies. He knows he'll lose there. But fundamentally, America needs that. This is something, you are so great about educating your listeners. But remember what happened. October 7th, the horrendous attack on Israel by the terrorist group of Hamas, just massacring innocent people, taking babies as hostages, right? This will go down in history, big as 9/11, okay? What did our president do? He pretty much didn't say a word. I had lost the position of speaker. I went out and did a press conference because you can't just sit there and ignore it, right? Mm-hmm. And so what I did, I went out and laid out 5 things we should do. The president, the leader of the free world, what did he do? He put a lid on it. You cannot be president of the United States when the world is burning and put a lid on it, because that empowers Russia, that empowers Iran, that empowers China, and the rest of the world now is saying, what is happening?
But look what he's doing now. He's literally bowing to the Islamists in his party, the Talib people in his party, who are demanding the obliteration of Israel. What's that?
He apologized to them. He apologized to them. Why do you apologize? They're unbelievable. Hamas goes and kills innocent people. They are a terrorist organization. They would not have done that had he embraced the Abraham Accords the day he took office. They would not have done that if he would have held in the sanctions against Iran. Iran was only producing 400,000 barrels a day. They're now producing 3 million. They're getting billions of dollars. Their currency, of their reserves, they have $70 billion now. It was about $4 billion when he came into office. These are all his actions, just like the border. Why is the border not secure? Why is the Middle East up in arms? Why do we have war? Why do we have 5 embassies that had to evacuate? Based upon his decisions in Afghanistan, based upon every foreign policy decision, Gates was right. He has been wrong.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a question, not to put you on the spot, but you know how to do this. Anybody you're leaning towards for Donald Trump to choose as a running mate? Or any group of people?
You know, I think there's a lot of good group of people. And the first thing I tell the president, okay, the person has to understand the Constitution. It's got to be an addition, not subtraction. And they got to be able to fulfill the job if anything happens in between. But I don't just look at the vice president. I think the entire cabinet, because the one thing that happens, I believe in, you ever read the book, David and Goliath, the 10,000 Hours?
Of course.
You know it yourself, right? Look how much better you are, right? Each book is even better that I read of yours. Your radio shows, your TV show. Your TV show is so good they put you on twice in 1 week, right?
Yeah, thanks a lot.
It's hard work. But think about the President Trump on day one. He's going to be so much stronger and better than he was on the first day when he went in the last time, because he knows what these people have done to him. He knows what's going to happen. But this guy works 24/7, but he's not going to want to slow down. He needs a team of people who also know that. So let's not put rookies trying to learn what to do. And I also believe in good to great, getting the right people on the bus, right? It's just like one team could have a lot of all-stars, but they don't succeed. They've got to work together. I don't want this infighting. I don't want this jealousy between each other. We've got 4 years to turn this around. You got to do the FBI. You got to get government working for the people. We've got to get our border secure. We've got to get our budget under control. We've got to get a military strong in there. There is not any time to waste. Every day you got to wake up with that mission. It's not about you riding in a parade. It's about you representing the people.
Boy, you sound great. You sound great. How's your family doing? What sort of things are you thinking about these days?
Well, everybody's good. I'm out. I want to grow the majority. And, there's some good news out there. The Democrats were trying to redistrict New York. Hakeem, the Democratic leader, he wanted to go in and wipe out. Remember, we gained 5 seats in New York and 5 in California when I was leader. We gained in Oregon, places you haven't thought of. Well, I think this new redistricting, the Democrats failed. It's going to be easier for Republicans to pick up seats in the next election in the House than it was the last 2 sections. And so, I helped a lot of people get there. I want them to keep them. I want it to grow. I recruited a lot of people. So I'm still doing a lot of focus on that. I'm going out giving some speeches and talking. I'm thinking about writing a book. I'm reading a lot of your books, so I make sure I do it right. And I'm going to continue to serve in any way I can.
Oh, very good. We can't wait to have you on when that book is done. And I want to thank you. I know you, on this program, we supported your efforts. We knew about H.R. 2. We knew that you and the others had worked out the most conservative short-term continuing resolution in my lifetime. And same with H.R. 2 on the border. And oddly enough, that's what caused your enemies to go after you. I still don't get it. I still don't understand it.
Well, listen, Mark, the whole reason why it wasn't about politics. It's one member, his personal problems, thinking I wanted to stop an ethics complaint. I won't get involved in that. I don't play games. Ethics, you're not involved in, right? And it came before Matt Gaetz 4 years ago, something he's done personally with an underage woman, and he'd do anything to try to stop that. My focus on American people, we passed H.R. 2, we passed H.R. 1 to make us energy independent. Our Fiscal Responsibility Act, the congressional budget just came out, it even cut more money, $2.6 trillion, welfare reform, NEPA reform, Parents' Bill of Rights. I'm proud of all that we've been able to do, and I'm just going to keep building on that.
Did you work well with McConnell? He strikes me as a very difficult, stubborn person who I've never cared for. But what about you? Did you work with him?
The job is tough. Yes, I worked with him. And look, I know you have differences with him, but the one thing I will tell you, you look at the Supreme Court, we would not have the Supreme Court we had today if McConnell didn't show that leadership.
Or the debt, or the open border, or God knows how many other things, too.
Well, the Senate's tough. But I worked with him. We would agree and disagree on some things, but I'm telling you what, when we did the Fiscal Responsibility Act, I didn't have a better person standing next to me fighting. He could have undercut me. He never did. Mm-hmm. And
all right, sir.
That was good.
All right. You call him as you see him.
I appreciate you.
You call him as you see him. That's what I like. All right. God bless you, brother. Take care of yourself.
Okay. Take care.
All right. He sounds great, doesn't he, Mr. Producer? Sounds happy. Sounds like he's not involved in this crap anymore, I guess. But here's the thing, folks. He did succeed in uniting that party for a good period of time until, again, Gates lit the fuse. And has caused enormous problems as a result of that ever since. And that H.R. 2 and that CR that he and the Freedom Caucus came up with, our buddy Byron Donalds, Chip Roy, were crucial pieces of legislation. He was pushed out. The Senate didn't take it up. And here's where we are today. That's the bottom line. I don't care what all these other talk show hosts and all these other pretenders and posers said. I call them as I see them. It's that simple.